in his career with DuPont, had many, many successes. Vice President of HR, Senior Vice President of Medical and Imaging and Medical Products, Group Vice President. Very, very, very successful. Went on from DuPont in the early 90s to International Paper to an executive level position. Became CEO of Louisiana Pacific. Then CEO of a newer business called NewPage, which is actually today, after five and a half years under his leadership, is the largest manufacturer of coated paper in the U.S. He's a JA alum. He went through the program when he was in high school. He's been a member of the board here. And I think the thing, though, that in addition to all these successes, what really hits home is the folks that I had an opportunity to talk to, both the current DuPonters, the former DuPonters, folks like Kurt Landgraf and others. They just said that they had the utmost respect for Mark and his ethics, his approach to business, and his people skills, and just everything about him. So please direct your attention to the screen for a video tribute to Mark.
Mark Suwyn was born and raised on a farm just outside Denver, Colorado. The demands of farm life taught Mark the importance of hard work at a very young age. Mark studied chemistry at Hope College in Michigan. It's also where he met and married his wife Patricia. After graduating from Hope, the young and growing Suwyn family moved west so that Mark could pursue his PhD in inorganic chemistry, and Patricia her degree in elementary education at Washington State University. A few years later, the DuPont company came calling from 3,000 miles away with a job offer at the experimental station in Wilmington. That began a 25-year relationship between Mark and DuPont, where he served in a number of roles, from product development to marketing and sales, to Vice President of Human Resources, and eventually to Executive VP, Medical Products and Imaging Systems. Mark left DuPont in 1992 and has served as Chief Executive to companies in the commodity industries, including Louisiana Pacific and NewPage. He has been a passionate supporter of junior achievement his whole life, first as a student in Colorado, then throughout his business career, including 20-plus years with JA Delaware. Mark was also instrumental in getting JA International launched in 1988. To this day, Mark's business philosophy continues to be guided by the recognition that people make the primary difference in business outcomes.
I grew up in a farm just outside of Denver, Colorado. And my parents' view was to try to make this a self-sustaining, so we got all of our income off the farm. As a result, we had all kinds of animals, cows and pigs and goats, etc., and big gardens. And I learned one main thing there, and that is that there's chores that have to be done every day, usually twice a day. And if you didn't do them, animals died, your income from the farm plummeted, and you were in deep trouble. That stuck with me the rest of my life. You know, as I grew up and started experiencing different things, I early on adopted a philosophy, which was that if the door opens, I'm probably going to go through it. One of the early doors that opened for me was I was introduced to junior achievement in my sophomore year in high school. And I got very enthused. I met a lot of great people, some real serious role models, but also I was allowed to get involved in manufacturing, and we were selling things, mostly to my families. But just a great experience that allowed me to learn public speaking, how businesses operate, etc., and it just turned out to be a wonderful experience. Well, I joined DuPont right out of graduate school, and there I found a whole host of different assignments that kept moving me from one project to another, and then it began to be one state to another. And while it was difficult on the family to pick up and move about every 12 months, it was fantastic from a learning standpoint. You got to meet new people, see how different people operated. You got to see different businesses and what was important in this business versus that business. And so it kind of gave me an appetite that I've had the rest of my life to continue to look for new and different kinds of experiences. You know, in the mid-'80s, I was given an opportunity that, quite frankly, I even thought about turning down. I was asked to go and run the Human Resources Organization for DuPont. It's basically, how do you deal with people? You had, at the time, we had 185,000 people around the world, and how do you keep them happy, productive, and working on things you need them to work on? I went reluctantly, but it turned out to be the most important thing that ever happened to me, because I got an opportunity to see how our organizations and people really work behind the scenes. And I found it both fascinating and, quite frankly, very frustrating, because they didn't operate too well in many cases. When you have a group of people and they're trying to solve a problem, it's critical that you help create an environment in which everybody can participate, everybody contribute, and then agree on where we're going to go and how we're going to get there. That's different than necessarily coming in and saying, you do that, you do this, you do this, you do that. Instead, it's laying out the problem, everybody agreeing what our approach is going to be, and then people kind of volunteering and saying, I can do this, I'll do that. Because all of a sudden you have their commitment. And you don't have to worry about, once you start down that road, will we go all the way or not? Because people have committed to do that. Very different if you walk in and say, you do this, they may or they may not do it. So the whole issue of teamwork, where you've got everybody contributing, is a critical issue. Not a team where one person's given all the orders. So as you all graduate, you go to college, you go to get an MBA or some other degree. That's important. You have to have skills that you can bring to the party. But the one thing I'd like you to remember more than anything else, learn how people think, act, and feel, and what role you can play in helping engage them in helping you do what you need to accomplish. You know, doing this over the last 45 years has been a terrific amount of fun. And I get often asked, so when are you going to retire? You know, I'm not sure I could ever retire. The doorbells keep ringing, the phone keeps ringing, doors open, people need help. It is so much fun and so satisfying to do that I'm not sure I'll ever retire.